Hi everyone, welcome back to Hampden. Joshua and Stevie here to talk through Rangers 2, Motherwell 1. Stevie, Rangers are in the Premier Sports, what's it called? Premier Sports Cup final. The first half was not great, very much felt like more of the same. Rangers had a lot of the ball, but had it in areas where Motherwell were generally pretty comfortable. Came back in the second half with a goal from Cyril Dessers and a winning goal from Nadim Bayrami. Deserved in the end, and a necessary win for Rangers in the end, a necessary win for Philippe Clement. Just give me your 90-minute take on a. I don't want to say game of two halves because that's a bit cliche, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, but you're right. I was just thinking I could do a box to stand on here while I'm
leaning
speaking.
back. Be a great strike partnership, though.
Yeah, that's it. Little and very small. Right. 90 minutes. The first half, you know what we created? The Motherwell keeper had a few good saves, but I think the same thing happened that happened the other night, Joshua, which concerns me. See, when we get a knock in a game, we don't respond, and it takes us a while to get right back into it and to find our feet. And Motherwell scoring was a bit against the run of play. It was a mistake. Well, it comes from actually a couple of mistakes, and I just think we should be better, and then we should be responding. Barrie has a shot which is tipped wide, was about the only thing that we really done. Right on the stroke of half time, Dessers misses that chance.
Yeah.
And you begin to wonder if it's going to be one of those ones. But I've got to be honest, the second half it was a lot better.
Yeah.
Moved the ball quicker. So that's the biggest thing. I said at half time, we need to move the ball quicker. And we did do that. The wingers were better. And then the big moment, I think, obviously, having got back on terms, which was a really nice goal. All Czerny, who I thought was really, really good.
Yeah.
And Barron makes that run beyond, so he gets in. It's a cutback. It's a simple finish, which finally he actually does. But the biggest moment was, I think, taking off Tav and taking off Dessers. And with Lawrence already out of there, all of a sudden we had occupying defenders. Yeah. The run of, I'll just ask everybody to go and look at the run of Danilo for the second goal. It occupies the defence, it makes the space. Bayrami's then able to hang back. Czerny finds him beautifully with that switch pass, which he's done a couple of times really well. But it's all about the run from Danilo, which hasn't been happening. And the difference that made, suddenly Danilo occupying defenders gave those wingers space. Yeah. And it seems like such a simple concept, but that's immediately, for me, a match-changing moment. The substitutions and the runs that were able to come off of that. And I thought we looked at points in that second half quite good, quite decent.
Yeah.
And it was certainly, you're right, I know it's a cliche, it was certainly a game of two halves. But there was points in that second half we were actually doing some quite good stuff. I don't think Jack had too much to do, save-wise. I don't remember him having too much to do. So, a good response in what is a really difficult period for Rangers. I am relieved, I think, but equally just delighted to win. There's so much to work on, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not sitting here saying to anyone, or not standing here saying to anyone that this is all brilliant and this is all, magical performance. I'm standing here saying to people, at least we got the spirit of coming back. At least they showed that determination. At least they showed that character. And there was one or two things, Joshua, that, you know what, that might actually work in the future.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll break down the goal Rangers conceded because it was a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think that you're right. The lesson for that game for me is that if you look at that Rangers starting 11, and we spoke about this a little bit with Chefty being in the starting 11, but if you take the starting 11, how many Rangers players can go by someone 1v1? Or how many are unpredictable? So like you look like Czerny always wants to cut inside on his right foot. And I agree he had a good game, but you'd agree with me that he's not someone who you think when he gets the ball, what does he want to do?
Sure.
Similarly, Tom Lawrence.
Unpredictable.
He's not unpredictable. Tom Lawrence isn't someone who's going to go on his left foot and he always wants to get back on his right foot. Bayrami, again, who's had a really good impact off the left in recent games, but he's a left winger he's not a left winger really. He wants to do something quite specific. And similarly, Dessers, he wants to run in behind. He doesn't want to link play. All of that then becomes quite predictable. When you change a few players in there, you bring someone on like Danilo, who he can run in beyond, as you see for the goal, and he has the turn of pace to do that. But he can also link play like he did with Czerny for that 1-2, bring other people into play, do John Sterling as well. I thought was an upgrade on Tavernier today. And you're right, it is simple, but often I think with football, while I'm definitely the guilty party of overcomplicating things, if you're a Motherwell defender there, I think you'd rather face the Rangers team that started than the Rangers team that ended the game. And I think that's probably the lesson about Rangers under Clement today.
Yeah, but it's whether or not the manager will see it and also adapt to that as well. He goes to Olympiacos on Thursday night, and for me, the biggest thing for that would be to go with more or less the same team that finished. Now, I know that Danilo can't play, so that's obviously unfortunate for him, but he's done enough to put himself in the reckoning as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely, because you summed it up, and my next point was going to be, let's cast our mind back to 10 minutes into this game. Motherwell have a throw, and he throws it straight to Bayrami. Bayrami plays it to Dessers, and the ball is a through ball. It's a simple pass. It's 10 yards, simple pass. Bayrami's in away. We go 1-0 up, it changes the complex of everything. He doesn't receive that pass because the pass from Dessers is short, it goes to Motherwell. It's just what we've come to expect.
It's the same one away at Tannadice, remember, with the...
Absolutely, yeah, it's the exact same thing. Danilo in the second half, chest, quick ball out, Czerny's away on the right hand side, and Danilo then makes a run in. And Czerny, listen, I'm a bit with you, like, I thought Czerny was good today, but it wasn't kind of coming off for him at certain times. And I think if things had come off today, he could have ended up with 2 or 3 goals and assists and things like that. But I'm okay with that because he's influencing the game, he's involved. Not everything's going to come off, because if everything come off, he wouldn't be here on loan. That's the whole point of it, isn't it? But I'm really pleased with that. I don't mind people taking shots, I don't mind people committing, but go and do it. I'm rather you would go and do it than we've seen so many times players running through, don't get shots away and things like that. So really pleased with Czerny. But I just thought that the difference when Danilo came on, Joshua, was staggering. And I'm not a Cyril Dessers hater. I don't want it to come across like that, but I just think anybody watching that, we were so much more mobile. The wingers, the space they suddenly got, because it's so easy to defend against a boy that doesn't move. But all of a sudden you've got Danilo linking up, moving, and then going beyond, moving beyond, running beyond everything. Their back line was all of a sudden troubled. You know what I mean? And they're then having to drop deep.
Pulled in different directions.
They're getting pulled, and then there's so much space. Bayrami for that second goal is in space because the back line is occupied by Danilo's run. So it's all, I think, it comes from that. As for Sterling coming on, I thought James Tavernier today was extremely poor. I thought that
let's talk about the first goal.
Yeah, okay, absolutely.
Not great, in summary. Chefty kind of is almost running away. Well, he is running away, he's not almost running away.
I don't think he sees Halliday at all.
But I think he thinks that Tavernier is going to close that cross down, so that the ball kind of breaks. Rangers don't clear it quickly enough. It's actually not dissimilar, although Motherwell scored from a cross from a further distance, but Tavernier didn't close a cross down on that day. It was just it was just a bad moment from either fullback. And again, like Dessers, I don't think if you take that goal in isolation and then Tavernier's performance overall, again, if you're watching that objectively and Dujon Sterling comes on and makes a pretty good impact, I think he should be playing it right back over the next couple of games, because I think his form's better, and sometimes it should be as simple as that, no?
It should be. And do you know what? And I've said it for a long time, and everybody will know that I've moaned on Rangers Review morning shows for quite a while that this team lacks athleticism, doesn't it? It lacks power, it lacks pace. And again, I'm not here to bash Tav, to bash Dessers and stuff like that, but the difference, let's fast forward right to the last couple of minutes. We're deep into injury time, 93 minutes. I think it's the number 90 for Motherwell, Jair gets it on the left and off he goes. Sterling makes that back, takes the ball off him, and that's completely dissolved that situation on simple defending. James Tavernier isn't getting back because he doesn't have the fitness anymore. He doesn't have that level of kind of...
Well, he's not as quick as he was, I think.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not trying to two-foot him. I'm just pointing out that age has caught up with him a wee bit, and I think that's fair. And I think that Sterling just nullifies that quite easily, and that's where we are. And I thought Sterling's run forward, I thought he was powerful, I thought he looked good, and you know, I'm acting like I'm surprised. He is a right back, you know, and he's a good player. So I think we're now getting to the point where Philippe Clement is under so much pressure that maybe he does realise that there needs to be a change in a guard as such, because the players that are letting him down are still playing, but the players that were letting him down weren't playing at the end of that game. And look at the difference in how we were going forward, how we were defending when they're not on the pitch.
Yeah, and speaking in the press conference after the game, which you can obviously watch or read in its entirety on the YouTube page or on the website, Clement, he spoke about the dressing room being nervous at half-time and nervousness existing within the dressing room, and also the fact that he believes this is a game that at the end of the season Rangers will be able to look back on and see as that was a fork in the road, that was a significant moment, Stevie, and obviously we'll pick the bones out of it more tomorrow morning on the morning briefing. It's not a performance or a result by any means that answers all the the questions. It's not going to win everyone back. That was those who did lose faith in Clement last week. But what it was a reaction. And at half-time, Rangers are getting booed off. They'd create some opportunities, but not an abundance of them. What you would say out of today is that was a team that responded well for the manager in the second half. Do you think that's fair?
Absolutely, it's fair. Listen, it's a good recovery, and it's a good enough performance in the second half for us to sit and say that they deserve to win it. And they created enough. There was some positive moments. There was some positive individual stuff, which I hope they go and build on, which we've discussed. But yeah, I mean, it certainly shows that, we're questioning this team and their commitment towards this manager. Second half maybe answered that slightly. It's not a case of, well, wonderful, we're back on the right track. That's never going to be solved until, like we spoke about on the pre-match show, until you go 8 to 10 games where you're performing and winning and you start going on a run, and then you get to that cup final and you go and give it a real go, and you come out on the right result. Until something like that happens, we're all going to be sitting going, we're one result away from this being right back to where we are under Philip Clement. Thursday night away at Olympiacos, they need to go with that same enthusiasm, the same energy, the same drive that they ended this game on, and a lot of that is going to depend on how he sets them up and how he selects them. There's players today that have played themselves out of the first team that he might finally have seen, and there's players today that have played themselves in. So there is a little bit to work with.
Yeah, and I guess just finally then, in conclusion, if you, let's say hypothetically that, well, it's not hypothetical, Rangers are in the cup final against Celtic, League Cup final. When that game comes around, I guess you probably do want Dujon Sterling at right back against Daizen Maeda. You do want Danilo up top. So do you? You're right. The Olympiacos game, Danilo isn't in the squad, and he's also not played many minutes from this latest injury. So he's not gonna be thrown in for 90 minutes right away. But when he is fully fit, Dujon Sterling is now back to fitness after a spell out. Do you think that could happen? You think it should, I'm guessing, but do you think those two players that came on and helped change the game today, it could feasibly, when we come back here next month for the Old Firm Cup final, could Clement have turned to those two players in those positions as first choice?
I certainly hope so, because what have we seen in the last 6 to 8 weeks from the players that are keeping the shirts that tells me that they should keep them? The answer's not a lot, especially up front. It was literally night and day when Danilo came on. So for me, they played themselves right, and Danny needs to get up to speed. So there's a B team game Tuesday night with Thistle at the training ground in the Glasgow Cup. So get him 45 minutes, get him 60 minutes again. He got 60 minutes against Stenhousemuir, scored for the B team. He came on today, made a good impact. He had a good half an hour. Get him 60 minutes on Tuesday. Then he has a rest the rest of the week. The squad are away, so he can build it up again. Hearts on Sunday. You're looking for him to get another half an hour again. So
or more,
or a half. You know what I mean? I think he's ready to start. No, I said after Stenhousemuir on Rangers Review that he was a month away. So Stenhousemuir were just coming up for 2 weeks. So you get him game time, go into the international break, you get him up to speed as much as possible and get him ready to start. Because genuinely, the difference is night and day for us. And I think that these things, listen, it may not solve anything. It might be putting a plaster over something that needs a lot bigger, but it's going to make an immediate impact. And it's not about, for us at this moment in time, it's not about beating Celtic and everything else. The immediate priority is stringing together a series of performances and a result until we get to that moment. Get them in the team, bring that energy, bring that drive that they can do it, and mix it up a wee bit. Tom Lawrence, James Tavernier, Cyril Dessers are like for like. We have talked about this for 6 to 8 weeks about this not working. What's the harm in giving these boys today that have maybe just put a wee bit of a notice on the manager's door and saying, I'm ready for a wee shot at this? What's the worst that can happen? Because we've already seen the worst that can happen.
Yeah, no, fair point. Listen, we'll leave it there. We'll be live tomorrow morning and throughout the week as we continue to build up to Rangers' trip to Olympiacos and then a home game against Hearts before the next international break. But until then, thank you for joining Stevie and I. Please subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already, which you can do for free, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a video when we go live. We'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.